Hello, everyone. Welcome to Refocus on Happiness. 5 steps to get your husband back by getting over him first. Who this is for? This is for women who want to get their husbands back within 6 weeks without having to waste a ton of time or money on marriage counselors, therapies, or other outdated strategies. So, in the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk about how to get over that past hurt and resentment and truly heal yourself within days. When I say truly heal yourself, it's not just about getting over the past hurts and resentment. It's also about getting your confidence back, getting your sense of self-worth, all that, what we call inner work, actually showing you how to do it. So it is not just conceptual, it's actually who you are, who you've become. So we're going to talk about how to get yourself healed really within days. We're going to talk about how to get your confidence back, how to regain financial security. Obviously, if you've been dealing with a lot of emotional pain, a lot of relationship challenges for some time now, every day that you take hours or whatever time that is, just stewing in anger, sadness, emotional hurt, that's taken away from your life. You're literally losing a percentage of your life every day you do not get this handled. Now, this might not want to be one of the biggest reasons why you're here, but if you're spending a significant amount of time each day in those kind of negative emotions, sadness, anger, fear, that's not good for you. That has a detrimental effect on your health. I'm not a doctor, but any doctor would tell you when you're sitting in those kind of emotions throughout the day, the emotions of stress, that is having an adverse effect on your health. You need to get this together. And we're also going to talk about how to get the energy to push forward towards your goals and dreams. And one of the biggest things here, one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this is, unlike your local therapist or counselor who's going to tell you, oh, this might take months or years or time heals all wounds, that's not true. You can get this handled once and for all within a few weeks. You can get that initial conditioning and then have a skill that you can use for the rest of your life, so that in a matter of a day, you can get yourself back to feeling good. So for the rest of your life, you will never, ever, ever be at the mercy of your external world or other people for your sense of feeling great. And when you're feeling great and you're not going into conversations or relationships with the hurts of the past, the resentments of the past, that puts you in the strongest position to make your relationships work. Does that make sense? When you've healed yourself, truly healed yourself, anything and everything is possible. That's really the biggest part of this here. This is not about the conventional Band-Aids that most of the therapists or counselors will give you. This is about really healing yourself at the core, okay? So my promise to you, 5 steps to get your husband back by getting over him first. Again, first step is to heal you. Once you're truly healed, then at that level, you're literally you 5.0. Anything is possible for you at that point when you've truly let go of the past. Because, yeah, when you've truly healed yourself, anything and everything is possible. But again, rather than wait for your couples counselor who would tell you, oh, this could take months or even years, I can show you how to get this handled in just 6 weeks. So aren't you glad you're on today's call? For some house rules, this takes real work. This is a different type of workout. You might be going to the gym conditioning your muscles. I'm going to show you how to condition your mind. You, as brain science proves, you can condition your mind for emotional resiliency. What that means is this. Maybe for your entire life, you've never learned how to condition your emotions. So when you feel something, that's why you're angry or sad or whatever it is for weeks, months. I speak to people that have been in this emotional Groundhog Day for years, sometimes decades. That's because they've never learned how to condition their mind. But if you work out your muscles, like if you're training for a marathon and you do it for 6 months, well, guess what? Now, if you ran a marathon today, you might really hurt yourself. But if you conditioned it with the right workout, the right support, well, guess what? In 6 months, you could probably run that marathon. But here's the coolest thing. After you've run, maybe not the next day, but maybe a few days later, you could run again because you're conditioned that way. I'm going to show you a different type of conditioning, a conditioning for your mind, so that when you feel these emotions, you don't have to stay there. But again, this takes real work and discipline. You've got to really want it. You've had absolutely enough of the pain. Have you had enough pain? Are you sick of feeling sad and angry all the time? Well, let's get this stuff handled already. So you got to be fully committed to being consistent and persistent at this new way of thinking. Because remember, no matter how great a workout plan is, There is no workout that creates incredible results if you want to sit on the couch and eat potato chips all day long. You got to do the work. So indecisive people are not going to get results from this new process because they're simply not going to show up to the gym. They're not going to clock in their hours. So are you at the point where you want to finally take control of your relationships and get yourself feeling good again and energized and happy? Are you willing to do the work? Because if you are in the right place. Now, does this sound like you? Has this emotional issue been weighing you down for months or even years? Have you watched you and your relationship slowly, almost in slow motion, fall ground? Can you almost see your head about to slam into the pavement? That's going to hurt. Let's stop this now. So while you've been dealing with this pain, have other areas of your life suffered? Your relationships with your friends, your family, your kids? Have your finances, because you're always fearful or angry or sad all the time, is the rest of your life starting to suffer? Is it worth it to you to finally learn how to fix this once and for all? So here's the thing. Maybe it's time for you to stop trying to YouTube it. Stop trying to read books. Because if you're still secretly hoping that you're going to magically stumble upon a book that has all the answers for you or the secret hidden YouTube video, it doesn't exist. Why is that? This is about implementation. It's not about information. I'm not here to have an intellectual conversation to you about how to heal yourself. I'm here to show you how to do it. I show people how to heal themselves permanently within a very short period of time. Now, the funny thing is, I have coaches and master NLP practitioners and psychologists. They actually call me up all the time. And for some reason, all their intellect isn't helping them to get out of their pain. So the difference here is I'm going to show you actually how to do the conditioning. I'm not here to have an intelligent discussion with you. We're here to get to work. So are you tired of your well-meaning friends and family draining the hell out of you, telling you, oh, just get over it already, or just this or just that, and giving you this endless counseling? Is it draining the hell out of you? Have you had enough? And does it bother you? These people don't even seem to understand what you're going through. I mean, some of them who are giving you advice might never have had a situation, anything at all resembling what you're going through. You got to go to someone who has the proven track record to show you the way, and very important, actually let you know, assure you it can be done within a very defined period of time. Good luck trying to find a counselor that's going to say, hey, we'll have this knocked out in 6 weeks. Not going to happen. So if you're tired of your well-meaning friends and family draining the hell out of you, again, you're in the right place here. Now, have you been trying to stay busy? But deep inside, you know secretly that solves nothing. It simply delays the problem. And if this relationship has been going on this very, very steep downward spiral, it's getting to the point where you're like, wow, you know what? This is going to end soon. I'm starting to feel like I'm going to be destined to be alone forever. If that's feeling like you, this is something that needs to be addressed, because if you've been arguing, fighting, with your husband for a long time, does your arguments and fights almost get to the point where you don't even know what you're fighting about after a while? It's almost like the emotions take over, where you're yelling, screaming. It's almost like, well, maybe not yelling, scream, but you're mad, you're hurt, whatever it is, however you guys argue. Maybe you're passive aggressive and you guys don't argue, just get real silent. But here's the thing. Does it almost get to the point where you don't even know what you're fighting about anymore? It's just like almost the emotions take over and you just don't know how to get out of it, right? So does it seem like there has been no end in sight to this emotional Groundhog Day of pain that you've been living? Are you almost just at a loss for words or ideas on how to get out of that hurt and pain permanently? The real problem is you have not made the shifts, because once you make them, you're going to wake up being excited for the day, because you have the skill on how to feel good. When you're in full control because you have the skill of emotional resiliency, you know how to get yourself back to feeling happy. That's why the program is called Refocus on Happiness. And you're no longer dependent on your external world or other people. You're your own source of just joy and happiness. That liberates you. That frees you. That is true freedom to live and love fearlessly for the rest of your life without fear. So when you have that, you're going to wake up feeling excited, knowing that you're in charge of how you feel. You're going to stop feeling dread when these bills keep mounting up, or other pressures or concerns, because right now you're dealing with so much emotion that it's just putting your life on hold. And meanwhile, life doesn't go on hold. You still have responsibilities. They just kind of pile up. But wouldn't it be nice to reignite your life, reinvigorate your life, where you're not going to be pressured anymore. You're not going to feel dread when you see a bill because you know you're killing it. You're making things happen. You're not paralyzed by your emotions. You're doing great at work or your business. Your relationships are doing amazing. They're thriving because you are in control of your emotional states. A wise man once said, when you master your emotions, you master life. And when you're there, you're not fearful anymore. And you're not dreading certain things right now. You're dreading because you don't know how you're going to get yourself back to being able to address these things. And you're going to start looking forward to life again, knowing you have true control of your emotions, true control of your relationships, okay? And you're going to have more energy to make great memories with your kids instead of being tense and agitated the whole time. I speak to a lot of people that one of the biggest reasons for doing this, the five shifts is because they realize they're not there for their kids. They're there, but they're really not there. They're kind of almost emotionally checked out, and their kids feel it. Your kids know you're dealing with some serious stuff here, and you don't want your kids to learn from you in this way. So, be their personal hero. Show them what your own Supergirl or Superman, your own superhero can do. Be that shining role model for them, that even amidst the chaos, you can show them like, hey, I'm in charge here. I'm still making things happen, and I still am happy. You don't want them to see the other end of the spectrum. And here's the truth. You might have future challenges in your life, but when you have the skill that I'm presenting here in front of you, you will never, ever again be paralyzed by fear or doubt or sadness or anger because you know you have the skill to get yourself to refocus back to happiness. You're the master of your emotional states. So it's not like these things disappear forever, but you don't have to stay there. When you are emotionally resilient, when you feel these emotions, you are able to reduce the refractory period of them so you can get yourself feeling good in no time, rather than being by not having that skill where, again, these emotions tend to get the best of you for months or years. And let's put that to a screeching halt today, shall we? And here's another thing too. When you are truly healed, you're truly over the past. Again, not forcing, not fake it till you make it, not these, Band-Aids your counselors and therapists are trying to give you, but when you truly feel great and you're truly healed, you're going to actually enjoy rekindling your relationship with your husband. It's almost like, you're starting from scratch. It's fun. It's like you're romancing each other all over again. Now, let's talk about the other big problem, and this is massive. And at this point, by the way, you're going to want to take out a pen and paper. I'm going to have you do some writing here. If you don't do this work, then that's part of the problem. If you're not willing to sit here and focus, and by the way, if you're texting on your phone or you're multitasking, do yourself a big favor. Why don't you just give yourself the gift of loving yourself enough to focus on something to change your life, okay? So get out that pen and paper because I'm going to have you write a few things down. This is going to give you a chance to really look in front of the mirror and be honest with yourself about your current state of affairs, a State of the Union address to yourself, of course. So here's the other big problem. You haven't quantified your why. You haven't decided that today is it. You're not going to go another day, another hour. This is it. And for you to do that, you have to quantify your why. Can't just be, I don't feel good, or I'm spending a lot of time thinking about things. That's not compelling. You have to realize really what's at stake. You need to become crystal clear on why this is a problem. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about who I am. Since 2012, I've been the coaching and operations director for one of the most well-known dating sciences companies in the world. Individually, I have personally coached one-on-one over 1,000 men and women since that period of time. And my company as a whole has impacted, I kid you not, over 1 million men and women. If you're familiar with who we are and what we do and some of my coaching staff, you would know that that is not an exaggeration. So what I'm essentially telling you is I've really heard it all. There's nothing you're going to be able to tell me about your current situation, what you're dealing with, that I haven't heard before in some shape or form. So I'm bringing to you literally the tools to get yourself out of pain, back into power. And let me make this clear. I know exactly what it's like to be you because I was you. That is ultimately why you and I are having this conversation today. So let's talk about discovering the 5 shifts, okay? There are 5 key shifts you need to make if you want to take control of the 2 most valuable resources in your life. Now, you have a pen and paper, right? Write this down. Those 2 most valuable resources are energy and emotional states. If you're able to live in the resourceful emotions of love, joy, happiness, gratitude 80 to 90% of every day, regardless of what happens, and your energy's high, regardless of what's happening, regardless of what stresses you're dealing with, you are the big winner of life. So I'm going to walk you through all 5 shifts on this session. So here comes the first shift, okay? Being happy is a skill. If you are right now dealing with immense pain, that is because you haven't trained your brain for this skill. The thing is, there's a conventional wisdom out there that tells you you're going to be happy when you accomplish your goals. That is not true. The truth is, no matter what you're going through today, every day has the potential to be the best day of your life. The problem is this: most people are oblivious to this power, and hence they're unable to free themselves from their emotional prison. All right, you guys ready for another group exercise? So take out that pen and paper. What I want you to write down is, what negative thoughts have hijacked your brain? When you think about how not good you're feeling on a daily basis, there are some thoughts behind that. What are you thinking? Do you think you're not good enough? Have you been told that relationships are too difficult, or men are bad, or women are bad, or what kind of negative programming, what kind of negative thoughts are you telling yourself day in and day out? Are you not good enough? What is it? Write that down, because it is that is ultimately the core of where the issue is. This is the programming that needs to be rewired, because brain cells that fire together wire together. So what negative thoughts have hijacked your brain? Write them down now. I'll give you about 30 more seconds. You can always come back to this later, but I really want you to do this activity, because this is going to help you understand why you're talking to me today. Now, as we start to close up on the benefits of learning the skill of happiness, let me be clear. It's not about being happy 100% of the time. That's impossible. You're a human being. You are going to feel the wide range of emotions. But the difference is you're going to learn how to refocus yourself to the more resourceful states 80 to 90% of the time. So it's not about being happy 100% of the time. But what if I could get you where you're feeling freaking amazing 80 to 90% of the day, every day, regardless of what happens or doesn't happen? How would that change your life? Now, when you think about this here, in your life right now, while you're not so happy, how's that affecting your job? Are you getting looked over for promotions? Are you on the verge of getting fired, perhaps? Have you had to take a leave of absence? That's because you're in an unresourceful state, because you don't have your thoughts in check. You don't have a process to rewire yourself from that unresourceful thinking to your power, okay? So what if you could feel incredible 80% of the time every day? How would that impact your life? How would that impact your health and wealth, your relationships with your family and your friends? And what would that be worth to you each day, okay? So shift 2 is not letting your brain fall asleep at the wheel, okay? Now, when you're first listening to me here, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, what's this guy talking about? I'm talking about literally not letting your brain fall asleep at the wheel, realizing when you're not in the command of your own command center. The thing is, there's a conventional wisdom out there that tells you that time heals all wounds. That is total BS. The truth is, the reality is, it's not that time heals all wounds. It's that time heals an untrained brain. Because here's the thing, for most people, when they go through an emotional breakup, they spend an incredible amount of time in their head trying to figure out what went wrong, or engaged in draining as hell conversations that solve nothing. And what happens is, after these hour too long, 3 hour long, dramatic conversations, maybe after all that, maybe that person internalizes maybe 0.5% of the lesson. So the illusion, if we're talking 0.5% each day, the illusion is it took 200 days to heal. But the reality is it took 200 days for your untrained brain to get the lesson. The reality is it took a long time to process those draining as hell conversations. And the truth is, getting over your ex doesn't have to be a slow and painful process. You can train your brain to accelerate the process to get the lesson that it's really over, so you can finally move on. Now, we're going to talk about some more very basic examples so you can really see how much this has really impacted your life in a very real way. So let me give you an example here. Have you ever had an experience where you're driving and someone cut you off on the road? And when they cut you off the road, you're like, wow, what a piece of, or What an inconsiderate, oh my God, I can't believe he almost did that. Whatever it is you're thinking here, probably something very negative. And all of a sudden you can feel that anger, that frustration. The problem is this. For many people, after that person leaves the road, where they're not even on the road anymore, that person who cut you off before, a lot of people still find themselves angry. And think how crazy it is. You're angry at someone who isn't even in front of you anymore, someone that you couldn't even confront even if you wanted to, right? So if you're still angry at someone who doesn't care about you, and you're angry at someone who you can't even confront, doesn't that sound kind of crazy? But it's not. It's actually you on autopilot. It's you living that same cycle of angry thoughts, angry feelings, right? Now watch this. I'm going to show you the difference between being on autopilot and taking back control of your command center. Now, if you live in Miami where I live, this happens all the time, right? It would be very easy to be angry all the time on the road if you allow that to be the case. But watch this. What if 30 minutes before that last time that guy cut you off on the road, which got you really mad, what if right before that happened, what if you found out you won $1 million tax-free? And then they cut you off. Do you think you'd give a crap about them anymore? You might even find yourself helping them to cut in front of you. You might even slow down so they can, go wherever they need to go. You'd probably be so happy you wouldn't even care. Now watch this. Difference between scenario 1 and scenario 2 is actually the same thing. It's still the same stimulus. It's still the same situation. The only difference is I've simply introduced a thought into your brain. And that thought, by creating this awareness or this thought in your brain, now you've retaken back control of your body. Now your brain is in control of your ship because the stimulus is exactly the same. So if you know the difference between scenario 1, where you just get angry and you're stewing even though the person isn't even in front of you anymore, versus when I simply introduce a thought and now that thought alone causes you to stay happy, you now know the difference between falling asleep at the wheel and being in command of your own command center. So here's another truth. If you've taken months or even years to get over a breakup, you are not in command of your ship. If you're still thinking about things that happened 6 months, 6 years ago that are way in the past, saying, wow, I wonder if I had done this. I wonder if I had done that. That is you on autopilot. Because think about it, that's crazy. You can't go back in time. For you to think about that and beat yourself up and get angry about something that happened 6 months or 6 years ago, that's crazy. But that's okay because you haven't been taught this awareness before. But that is you on autopilot. So here's my question for you. Again, you need to be very clear about what this is costing you. While you've been reviewing those scenarios from 6 months or 6 years ago, or what if, or can't believe they did that to me, whatever it is, on autopilot, how much time and money did you lose this week stewing in anger, rehearsing and obsessing over those negative thoughts and emotions? Write that down. So another group exercise here, okay? If you review your last week and you think about how much time you spent being angry, sad, or fearful because you're thinking, because remember, you're now becoming aware of your thoughts, you've been thinking about things that happened a long time ago, and you've been on autopilot, right? I want you to think about how much, again, specific time you lost. So how many hours this week did you lose on autopilot? Thinking angry thoughts, angry feelings, in sadness, in fear. And what did this cost you? Financially, socially, you're not going out, you're not going on any dates, you're not spending time with your friends, or your friends not even want to spend time with you anymore because you just want to keep talking about the same scenarios. What is this costing you? Is it starting to have a really big impact on your health because you're just sitting there in those emotions of stress that are created by being on autopilot mode, by not being in control of your thoughts? And again, what is going to happen over the next 30 to 60 days if you don't do something about it? So here's the thing. Most people are asleep at the wheel and live their life on autopilot. Most people are in that vicious cycle, the same angry thoughts, same angry feelings. They're living in autopilot, oblivious to their power. And it is time for you to wake the hell up and realize that you know Kung Fu. I don't know if you recognize where this reference is coming from, but you are Neo, essentially, or Trinity. Don't forget how powerful you are. Don't allow yourself to go on autopilot and think that these thoughts you're having, that you can't do anything about it. You absolutely can. You don't have to get angry at the person who cuts you off on the road and stay there for hours on end or review scenarios that happened from 6 months or 6 years ago. That's you forgetting how powerful you are, because we really do live in the matrix of emotions. So now you have a choice. You can either let the matrix or the emotional prison of the emotions of stress run you, or, and this is a way better or, by the way, you can run the matrix and live in a resourceful state of joy and happiness. You can let the body be the master and live on autopilot, oblivious to your power, or you can retake control of your mind and start bending and breaking the rules of what is possible. Now, just to come back full circle for a little bit here, remember, if you're looking to get over your ex, your power is in your energy. And if you're now recognizing how much time you're spending on autopilot, being angry, sad, and fearful, that's not helping you move forward. You need to become aware of this autopilot state that you've been in, because that's what's going to help you move forward. That is why you need to master this if you really want to move forward. Understand? So that is what needs to happen. So quick recap. Being happy is a skill. You can learn that skill. Right now, your thoughts are muck. You're just letting yourself go on autopilot, and you need to learn not to let your brain fall asleep at the wheel. Okay? So now we're going to talk about the final 3 shifts, or what I like to refer to as the 3 pillars. Remember, this is all about getting over your ex. So pillar 1, remember, people are attracted to those that are making things happen, right? Are you attracted to someone who just sits around moping all day, or is barely getting by in their business or work or job? No. You're attracted to people who are making things happen. So you need to learn shift number 3, or pillar number 1, the skill to inspire yourself every day, regardless of what happens. So here's the problem. There are conventional wisdoms out there that they tell you need to hope for inspiring moments, but that is complete BS. And I'm going to prove it to you. Have you ever found yourself about to go to sleep, but then out of nowhere, you have a thought that truly inspires you, and all of a sudden energy is just coursing through your veins, and you're like ready to work all night? Have you ever had an experience like that before? Has this ever happened to you? Here's my question. When that happened to you, where did that energy come from? Did it come from food? Did you eat something that night? Did it come from coffee? No. Did it come from doing a line of Coke in the parking lot? That's a joke, by the way. No. It came from thought and thought alone. It didn't come from some otherworldly source. It came from you. The problem is you've been taught that these are random events, but you can actually train your brain. You can wire and fire new sequences so your brain is wired for inspiration. And remember, an inspiring person is an attractive person. Understand? So it is in your best interest to get yourself back out there and make things happen for yourself, and to understand that inspiration is indeed a skill. It is not something you hope for, okay? So I'll give you an example of this here, just to show you how you could, in theory, be inspired immediately, regardless of any kind of random acts of God, okay? So imagine tonight you had a lunch with Warren Buffett, right? Or not tonight, but tomorrow or whatever. You had a lunch with Warren Buffett. And he shared with you, because you're having lunch with him, a strategy that would allow you to make $1 million in 1 week. And when you heard it, you're like, wow, that's going to work. You just knew it. But it would require you to only sleep 3 or 4 hours a night. But again, you knew it would work. Do you think you'd find, quote unquote, the inspiration or motivation to stay up and only sleep 3 to 4 hours a night for the next 7 days? Hell yeah, you would, if you knew it would work. So inspiration comes from you. The problem is you haven't learned this skill. You haven't wired into your brain. But make no mistake, that is a skill you can learn, just like happiness. And people are attracted to those that are inspired and make things happen. Okay. Now we're going to move on. We're going to move kind of quickly here from this point, because these things are really, I'm changing your paradigm as far as what is possible. I'm also destroying conventional myths that you've heard for a long time that, quite frankly, aren't serving you. Now, this one is really key for a lot of people, especially if you notice the last several years, you keep repeating the same patterns. I speak to people all the time that recognize their relationships are like, again, on Groundhog Day. They're on their 4th breakup. It keeps happening the same way. They keep having the same problems. That's because they haven't mastered the most important communication skill, which is the communication you have with yourself. That is a communication you must master if you want to master life, period. Because if you aren't strong on the inside, you can't be strong on the outside. That's the bottom line. Most people communicate weakly with others because on the inside, they don't really believe in themselves. Because on the inside, their communication themselves is weak, okay? So there's a conventional wisdom out there. They'll tell you to work on your communication skills with other people. Now, that's great. My company actually does a lot of that, which is fine. It's a good skill to learn for sure. But make no mistake, that is not going to solve the real underlying issue in your life. If you think over the last 6 months as you dealt with a breakup with your ex, you probably said or did a few things that you probably know you should not have done or said, and you know it. So take a second here. I want you to write down 2 or 3 things that you said or did with your ex that after you did it, you already knew you went in the wrong direction. Write that down right now, because that is the proof that your communication within yourself is weak, because the Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie of you never would have said or did what you did. So that conventional wisdom, you need to work on your external communication skills. That's not going to solve the real underlying issues. That will not hold a candle to masterful communication with oneself. The communication you have with yourself is the most important communication you will ever have, you will ever learn, period. How you communicate with yourself is the real determining factor on how well you communicate with others, period. And guess what? Remember, we're talking about attracting people in your life or re-attracting your ex, whatever it is you're looking for. But people are attracted to those people who are truly strong on the inside, those people that know themselves, those people that are unshakable. And if you've noticed for the last several months, years, or whatever, you have not communicated in alignment with this strong self that you know you could be, that's because on the inside, you are weak. And it's just the truth. So that needs to be addressed immediately. Otherwise, you can look forward to more of the same over the next several months or years, okay? Now, here's an important concept, by the way. This type of skill is not to be learned from a book or video. If you've been trying to learn from books or videos for months or years, that's also why you're here as well, because you haven't gone about things the right way. We're going to talk about that one in a little bit, but you need to start thinking of yourself as a pro athlete in a sport of life. And guess what? Pro athletes don't go to the local tennis pro if they want to come home with a Wimbledon trophy. And if that's how you've been going about things, well, that's why you're not winning in the level that you want to win. That's just the bottom line. So the conventional wisdom that people tell you to work on your communication skills with others, that's just not going to solve it. So here's a few questions for you. Does your life demonstrate a true belief in yourself? Are you taking the real actions of someone who's betting on you? Do you invest in yourself? Remember, you're trying to attract a new partner, or maybe the old one. I don't know. That's up to you. But being a successful risk taker is a very attractive quality. If people aren't stupid, if people see that you're not the kind of person who invests in you, real investments, not buying another freaking book. But if they don't see you're the kind of person that invests in yourself, that's why they don't want to invest in you. Why would anyone invest in you if you won't invest in you? Okay? So do your actions demonstrate yourself as someone who is truly strong on the inside, someone who walks the walk? So here's another group exercise for you. Ready? I'm going to do this one kind of quickly because we're running a little short on time. But what have you recently said to your ex that you instantly regretted? Write that one down. Once you come up with that, that is already showing you where there's some real inner work to be done. Another question. What actions have you taken that have resulted from weakness? What have you done that you know you shouldn't have done? Okay? And for how long have you been experiencing these communication issues with others due to fear, insecurity, anger, sadness? Have you noticed there's certain patterns you keep repeating with your communication with others? And here's another question for you, a very big one. When would it be a good time to address this issue? How about now? Does now sound like a good time to get some new tools and go about things a new way? Because your old way is not working. So now we're at the final shift, or pillar 3. You now have all this energy, right? You learned the skill of inspiration. You learned the skill of happiness. You're in these great resourceful states. You also learned how to become aware when you're going on autopilot, right? So you can retake back control of your ship. You're learning all these like incredible skills, that also including the internal communication skills that you can master, so you can master life and master communications with others. So you have all this energy, all these skills. Probably makes sense. The last thing you probably want to do at this point is allow people to take energy from you. Now, I'm not going to go too far in detail here, but a lot of people like to refer to these as energy stealers or energy vampires. This is a very real thing. Learning how to protect yourself from that is a system you're going to want to have in place, because you're doing all this work. Why would you want that to get stolen from you? So I'm just going to hit on one kind of quickly here, because for most people, they're going to want to work on the other pillars first, but I do want to definitely touch on this here. If you're explaining yourself to other people, especially people that really don't even have the advice to give you, they're people that themselves are having issues, right? If you're talking to friends of yours that have their own relationship issues and you're wasting your time getting advice from them or allowing them to give you advice, that is an energy drain. Why would you waste any energy listening to someone who has no idea what the hell they're talking about? And again, there's a lot of this stuff, but you need to have this mastered. You have to have a system in place to keep energy drains and energy vampires from sucking the life from you. Now, there's a conventional wisdom out there. Notice all these conventional wisdoms don't serve you. There's a conventional wisdom out there that tells you you need to take care of others before taking care of yourself. But that is complete BS. And not only is it complete crap, but it's destroying your health. You must defend yourself from anyone who's trying to suck energy from you, even if they mean well. Think about it. If you're on a plane and you're about to take off, what do they tell you? They tell you if the air pressure drops and the gas masks fall, who do you put the mask on first? You put on yourself, because if you can't help yourself, you can't help others. If you don't have energy for yourself, you can't really help others. So make it your new decision that you're going to take care of yourself before you take care of other people. If you invest in yourself and give yourself the energy to move forward, you're going to have that much more to give others. Energy is life. If you have no energy, you're dead to create your dreams. You need to protect this, and you need to have a system to make sure that you have as much as you can to move forward. Remember, what is attractive to people? Energy, good attitude, resourcefulness, happiness, good communication. Every pillar that we have spoke about today is all about making yourself attractive, making yourself feel good, giving you energy to move forward, and make your dreams happen. This is the foundation for everything you're looking for. If you've been reading books, watching videos for a long time, thinking that's going to be your answer, you have another thing coming to you. The top performers in the world work with other top performers. They're not reading and watching their way to Wimbledon. Here's the thing. Books and videos don't talk back to you. They don't. So how do you know if you're implementing the strategies and techniques in the way the author meant? I mean, it's only when the person's right in front of you they could say, hey, Jennifer, John, no, actually, this is what I meant. You don't have that. That's why you've been spinning your wheels for a long time. Not to mention, you can't see yourself the way the world sees you. A mentor can actually take one look at you and actually give you that course correction very, very quickly. Think about it this way. Remember, think of yourself as a professional in sport of life. If you were a professional tennis player, it doesn't matter how many videos on tennis you watch. You think you can watch your way to Wimbledon? It doesn't matter how many books you read on mechanics and psychology. Dude, that's not going to hold a candle to actually work on a court with Andre Agassi, someone who's proven to get to the big show. When that person's in front of you, they could show you things in a matter of 30 seconds that you would never get from a book. For example, they could say, hey, Jim, Jennifer, I know exactly why you've never amounted to anything in tennis. Look at the way you're holding your grip. You probably would have never noticed this, but your grip is just 2 millimeters off. And with the way you're finishing your swing, you're finishing at 1 inch over your shoulders, but you need to finish it 2 inches over your shoulders. You can't see yourself the way the world sees you. You need a feedback mechanism. Think about it. Step into my common sense corner here. That's not the way the top performers in the world go about it. And if you're living in mediocrity, that's because you've been using mediocre solutions. So stop trying to read or watch your way to success. It will never happen. Books and videos don't offer the feedback mechanism that you need. The top performers, the top athletes, they're not reading, watching their ways to the big show. Only a true professional who has exactly, and by the way, let me be clear what a mentor is. A mentor is not someone who dabbles or someone who's kind of gotten like little bits of here and there. Like for example, if you're trying to create a business, like a social media marketing business, a mentor is not someone who's making $10,000 a month. That's not a real mentor. A real mentor is someone who's absolutely crushing it at the level you want to be at. Because the myth is to go from A to Z, you got to go from A to B to C to D to E to F. That's not true. You can go from A to Z in a rocket ship if you have the right mentor. So the right mentor in this case would be someone who has their own social media marketing company, and they're making tens of millions a year. They're crushing it. They're exactly where you want to be at the highest level. That's a real mentor. And if you're not doing that for yourself, well, quite simply put, that's also part of the reason why you're repeating these patterns. It's just not attractive. People are not attracted to those that don't invest in themselves. You got to believe in yourself. You got to walk the walk. So forget everything else here that I've been telling you on why you're going to want to do everything I'm telling you here. But even just look at this one. If you've been just going about things in a kind of a half-baked sort of way for most of your life, that's why you've been living in mediocrity. And it's just the truth. So you need to get a mentor if you really want to knock this life out of the ballpark. The best mentors have already taken the courses you already need at the highest level. And you've also learned why these conventional wisdoms and the advice you've been given quite simply isn't working. I busted a ton of conventional wisdoms that quite frankly aren't serving you, and why you need to start thinking of yourself and acting as a professional athlete in the sport of life, okay? And I introduced you to daily practice via the 5 shifts that can energize you on command every day, even right now, even if you are right now living the emotional Groundhog Day of pain. So here's what you need to win. You need to learn the skill to make yourself happy. It is a skill, and it all starts with your thoughts. You need to learn the awareness of when your brain falls asleep at the wheel. You need to learn how to use the 3 pillars. Now, one of the main pillars there, again, that internal communication, that cannot be learned from a freaking book. Don't even try it. And again, if you've been dealing with this kind of crap and pain for years now, you go back to that same process, that same, I'm just going to read another book. Well, you'll be speaking to me in a few years after some more pain. And that's okay. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. But you need to learn how to use those 3 pillars, and they simply can't be taught without a mentor. You need to learn the skill to inspire yourself every day, regardless of what happens. You need to learn how to communicate yourself, because that is a skill you must master if you want to master life. And you must learn the system to protect yourself from energy stealers, no matter how guilty they try to make you feel. So you have a choice. You can either let the matrix or the emotional prison of the emotions of stress run you, or you can run the matrix and live in a resourceful state of joy and happiness. That's up to you. So here's how I can help. I have a skill or a system that you will not find anywhere. It is the best of the best that's out there. It includes my experience working in one of the most well-known dating science companies in the world. It's just quite simply put, if you really want to get over an ex and move forward, this is it. Okay, so here's how I can help. I have set aside some time over the next 48 hours to speak to you personally about how you can apply these practices in your life starting today. Whatever your biggest challenges are, I promise you, I have seen it, I have heard it before. And on this session, I'm going to help you craft a step-by-step game plan to get out of that emotional Groundhog Day of pain and take back control of your life. Now, the cost of this is absolutely free, but I am going to require a few things from you, and we're going to talk about this here. So this is who this is for. If this isn't you, don't make the call, don't make the appointment. This is for anyone who's tired of living in the emotions of anger and fear without an end in sight. This is for anyone who realizes how much this is costing them financially, spiritually, and socially. This is for anyone willing to take decisive action now. If your idea of a decisive action is reading another book, this call is definitely not for you, okay? So this is for anyone who's willing to show up and do the work. Think of this like a workout for your brain. The best personal trainer in the world can't just give you a workout and say, hey, here you go. They got to actually take you through the process. They'll take you to the gym, show you the exercises. It takes work. It takes discipline. You've got to be willing to do it. And this is for anyone who's tired of blaming and making excuses and is ready to take ownership of their life. If you're still blaming your ex, and when I speak to you, I'll prove this to you here, I guarantee you had an equal part of this pain you are currently living through. It is not their fault. It is just as much your fault. So if you're tired of blaming and making excuses and ready to take ownership of your life, well, let's have a conversation. So if this is you, here you go. The URL you're going to want to go to is www.refocusonhappiness.com/apply. Spaces are limited, so you're going to want to do this ASAP. Again, refocusonhappiness.com/apply. Okay, so a couple last things here. After you select a time slot that is available, it is then going to prompt you to a form. I need that form. That form is what allows me to prepare for our call. If I don't have that form, I can't do the call. So make sure you fill out that form, okay? Very, very, very important. This way, I'm considerate and respectful of your time because I don't want to spend that time asking questions that you could have answered for me. And again, I'm not going to spend an hour with you. It's a half an hour phone call. So let's make the most of it. Fill out that form. Once you've submitted that, then we can have our conversation, okay? So very last time here, refocusonhappiness.com/apply. Thank you for showing up today. Hopefully this resonates with you, and hopefully we will be speaking soon enough. Have a great day.